We've just finished turning the heel, and there are 18 stitches on there like they asked for, and start working in the round again. The first thing they're going to ask you to do is to use a third needle and pick up 18 stitches along the side of the heel. I'm going to show you with bigger yarn just so you can see better. We're going to pick up along the edge, and you're going to pick up 2 strands. Don't pick up just one because it'll make a gaping hole. You're going to go for every single stitch and start with the one that's right underneath the needle. Don't miss anything, okay? If you see a spot that looks gappy, go ahead and pick up a stitch, because if you don't like the way it looks on your picking up, then you aren't going to like it when you start knitting. Alright, because if there's a hole and it looks like there's a hole and something's gappy, you're going to see it later on, and the only alternative you have at that point is to take some of your yarn and come in and sew it up a little bit and then hide the ends of the yarn. But if it looks good like this, make sure you get the right stitch count. If it turns out, when I'm doing like a thumb gusset or any kind of gusset, if they say, pick up 18, but I have a space, I'll go ahead and pick up and fill up that space with another stitch. And then on my very first round, I'll go ahead and knit 2 together so that I don't have that little gap. But let's see it on the real sock. So you find your working yarn, and using a third needle, you're going to pick up starting at the very base, and you're going to pick up every stitch. You'll see you'll have a nice edge because that's what all those little slip stitches were all about, okay? And you're going to do that for 18. And you're working from the outside, so you're going to see what the outside of your sock looks like. If you don't like it, now's the time to take your yarn out and do it again. It's kind of like a cast on. You haven't put any time into it yet. Okay, I've picked up 18 stitches. I've looked at it. I don't see anything that looks really bad, so I'm happy with it. Now they've asked to knit those 30 stitches that were on the top of the foot that have been inactive all this time, and I am wrapping that up. And now they want on a 4th needle to pick up another 18 on this side so that we will be in the round again. So I'm going to pick up starting at the base of this stitch here on the needle to the base of that one there. Okay, I'm wrapping up, picking up the stitches on this side. And I'm going to double check to make sure I have the right stitch count. 10, 15, 18. Good. So now we're back in the round. And here's my working yarn. Now we're only going to be working with the right side on the outside. And the instructions say to knit the first 9 stitches from the heel needle onto the needle onto which you just picked up the stitches. Okay? So this is the ones I picked up on the stitches, and I'm going to knit 9 more onto that needle. There's 1, 2, 9. Good. Now they want you to slip the remaining heel stitches onto the next needle. You're going to have 84 stitches on 3 needles, and they tell you exactly the stitch count on each needle. 27 on the first needle, 30 on the second, and 27 on the third. And what you're going to do is, when you find out where your first needle is, you're going to go ahead and mark the work. So I'm going to slip them over there tip to tip so I don't ruin the orientation. There we go. There. I've counted my stitches to make sure I'm right. This one has 27, that one has 30, and this one has 27 again. This one here is my first needle. This is what they call the first needle, and to keep track of that, I'm going to move my marker. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually knit the gusset. This is only a 2-round repeat, okay? 1 round you're decreasing on the first needle and the third needle, and the second round you're just knitting plain, okay? Now you can do a row counter, but I just do something simple, like on a little piece of paper. I'll put, this is the decrease row and this is the knit row, and that's how I keep track. Can we see that? Yes. So right now I'm on a row that's a decrease row, and they're just asking for me to knit all the stitches on this needle until I get to the last 2, and I knit those 2 together. When I get around to the other side, the decrease is going to be different. It's going to be a slip, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over. Usually if they tell you different decreases, that means it's going to look better if you do it that way. So just, this is the easy part. You're going to keep doing this until you're down to 60 stitches. They'll tell you that you only have 15 stitches on the first needle, 30 on the second, because there's never been any decreasing on that one, and 15 on this one. And that's all there is. Alright, and the gusset, if you remember, is that little triangular shaped part of your sock on each side here. And this will be a row of the decreasing, and this side has a row of decreasing here. And that's to get from 84 stitches, where you are right now, which is a lot, to decrease it down to 60, and then you're going to start knitting toward your toe. The length that you're going to knit here depends on how big your foot is, okay? Because when we do the decreasing for the toe, the instructions will say exactly how long your sock is going to need to be.